Yo, what up? It's your boy, Mr. E, and today we're going to learn about simplifying fractions. Now, you may be noticing that the lighting is a lot better in this video, and that's because I went and finally purchased a good light for my camera. So now I'm feeling super fancy.
I'm so fancy, you already know. Swag.
Hopefully, going forward, the quality of my video will be a lot better. But let's talk a little bit about simplifying fractions. Simplifying fractions is a really important skill all mathematicians need to have, but it can be pretty tricky at times. If you follow the steps in this video, you'll be able to simplify fractions with ease. So let's dive into the video. Let's say we had a fraction here. Oof, this fraction is improper. Let's take a look at the steps that we're going to need to simplify this fraction. So step 1, make sure your number is written as a proper fraction or a mixed number. If it is an improper fraction, first change it into a mixed number. So we do have an improper fraction, but remember, fractions are just another way to use division. We could think 42 over 24 as 42 divided by 24. So if we did that off to the side, 24 fits into 42 once with the remainder of 18. So the 18 would be the new numerator, and we'd get a whole out of it. So our new fraction would look like this, 1 and 18 over 24. So 42 over 24 is equivalent to 1 and 18 over 24. Now that we have a nice mixed number, we can go ahead and move on. Step 2, create a list of factors for the numerator and the denominator. Remember, factors are just numbers that we can multiply by each other to get that product. So we're going to write all the factors we could have for 18 and for 24. So for 18, we have 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Lots of factors, but 1 times 18 would give me 18. 2 times 9 would give me 18. 3 times 6 would give me 18. And then 24 has even more factors, but we want to try to list all of them. And this is where knowing your divisibility rules will be super duper helpful. Luckily, this week in Number Talks, Mrs. Morris has given us some divisibility rules, so I highly recommend learning those. Now that we have a list of our factors, what we're going to do is we're going to circle the number with the greatest value that is common on both lists. This is called finding the greatest common factor, or GCF. If there aren't two numbers that are the same on these lists, the number is already simplified and you are done. So we can see that there are actually a couple of numbers that are similar on both lists, but we're looking for the number that has the greatest value, and that number would be 6. So we want to keep 6 in mind as we're simplifying this fraction. Step 4, divide the numerator and the denominator by that number, then your number will be simplified. So we're going to divide by 6 over 6, or technically we're dividing by 1. Remember, 6 over 6, or any number over itself, would give us 1. So we're dividing by 1, but we're going to be making this number simplified. One thing I want us to remember is when we're simplifying fractions, we're not changing the number or changing the value. We're just taking a more complex number and making it simpler. And that's what we always want in life, is to make things simple. So if we divide the top number by 6 and the bottom number by 6, 18 divided by 6 would give me 3, and 24 divided by 6 would give me 4. So my simplified fraction would be 1 and 3/4. And this actually still has the same value as our improper fraction we started with, 42 over 24. A little bonus thing is knowing your divisibility rules and having a good understanding of prime and composite numbers will greatly improve your simplifying skills. In fact, one great way to simplify fractions is by prime factorization. You'll learn a little bit more about this in 6th grade, but this is a great way to simplify fractions. And this is why I always ask when we simplify, see if it's divisible by 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. And typically you'll be able to see if you've simplified it or not. But if you're not quite familiar with prime factorization, doing the steps we did today will be just as easy. Let's go ahead and try some practice problems together. All right, so let's take a look at this first fraction. We have 35 over 15, another improper fraction. So we're gonna have to change that to a mixed number first, okay? So I'm gonna come over here to the side. 35 divided by 15 is the same thing as saying 35 over 15. So I'm gonna put the 35 inside the house and the 15 on the outside of the house. 15 can fit into 35 2 times, which would give us 30, and when we subtract, that gives us a remainder of 5. So our mixed number would be 2 and 5 over 15. Now, I know some of you guys are just like, holy cow, I already know how to simplify this. But let's go through these steps real quick, okay? So we take the numerator and the denominator, and we list the factors of these two numbers. Now, I know my prime and composite numbers, and I know 5 is a prime number. So the only factors of 5 are going to be 1 and 5. But 15 does have more factors because it is composite. So we would say 1, 3, 5, and 15. Now that we have all the factors written down, we're going to circle the greatest number in both of these lists. So in this one, it would be 5, and this one would be 5. The greatest number that is common in both of these lists, by the way. So yeah, we're going to be able to divide both of these numbers by 5. So we divide by 5 over 5, because really we're just dividing by 1. The number's value isn't changing. And we're going to say that this new fraction, or simplified, is going to be 2 and 1 over 3, 2 and 1/3. So 2 and 1/3 is equivalent to our original fraction that was 35 over 15. Let's try another problem. So we have 26 over 30. Great, this one's already a proper fraction, so we don't have to worry about changing it into a mixed number. So we're going to list the facts of 26 and 30, okay? So 26 has a few factors, okay? We would say 1 and 26, and then the only other one would be 2 and 13. So just a short list here, but it does have more than one, so it is a composite number. And then we would look at the factors for 30. So we have 1 and 30. We would have 2 and 15. And we would have 3 and 10. Okay? A couple of more factors in 30 than there are in 26. Then we look for a number that matches on both of them. That is the greatest number that matches. So it looks like there's a lot of different numbers here, but 2 is going to be our magic number that we're going to be using. So we're going to try to divide the top number and the bottom number by 2. And it makes sense that 2 would work because both of these numbers are even. And if both numbers are even, it is definitely divisible by 2. Check those divisibility rules, kids. So 26 divided by 2 would give us 13, and 30 divided by 2 would give us 15, okay? And that makes sense because 13 is a prime number. So if 15 isn't divisible by 13, then we do have a simplified number. And again, 13/15 is equivalent to 26 over 30. All right, we've got one last problem, and it is another improper fraction, but we know how to change improper fractions to mixed numbers super easy. So we're going to think of it like a division problem. We'll put the 60 on the inside, put the 16 on the outside. Now, you might not know your 16 facts as well as other people do, so you might want to make a what I know column on the side like we do when we divide. But I do know that 16 fits into 63 times, okay, which would give us 48. Then we would subtract that. That would give us a remainder of 12. So our mixed number would be 3 and 12 over 16. Okay, so our numerator is 12, our denominator is 16. So we've got 12, we've got 16. 12, we could use the factors 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Okay, and those are the factors of 12. Then for 16, we have 1 and 16. We have 2 and 8. And then the last number we would have is 4, because 4 times 4 would give us 16. So now we're going to take a look at these numbers and look for the greatest number on both lists. And it looks like for this one, both of them are going to be divisible by 4. Okay, so I divide both numbers by 4, because really I'm dividing by 1, which shows us that identity property. And we would get 3 and 3/4. Okay, so simplifying fractions can be really simple, but you do need a little bit of practice, and it does take a lot of work with knowing your factors. So I recommend really honing in on your divisibility rules and taking a look at those prime and composite numbers, because that's what's going to make simplifying fractions a lot easier. I hope this video was helpful. I hope that you get more opportunities to practice simplifying fractions so that you can get a hundo on your next test. We love you guys. We miss you, and I'll see you later. Bye.